Hey there, friends. Thanks for joining me today. I just had a really cool experience happen and I felt inspired to share it. I was getting ready to bake some bread this morning and I hadn't heard this song in years, but the Jim Croce song, I Got a Name, was just playing through my head as though someone had just put it on, turned it on. And so I thought I'd put on the album and I was really enjoying listening to the album. And as I listened to it, one of my oldest friends came to mind. His voice reminds me of Jim Croce, and the vibe of the music reminds me of this friend, and I just was thinking about him. And by the end of the album, I thought, I'm just going to send him a text. I haven't talked to him in a while, and it's always just good to connect when I think of somebody. So I texted him and told him, I said, hey, I was listening to this song, you came to my mind. And he said, well, I was actually just making pancakes and singing that song. Can't make this stuff up, right? And so we ended up talking, him and his wife and I, and just catching up, and it was so great. And it was just this incredible reminder of something that I know, but still never ceases to amaze me, that the relational field is always connected, always. Any disconnect that we think we have from it is simply an illusion. And this reminds me of the concept of our own individual energetic fields. So the emotions and thoughts and feelings that I choose to have in any given day, in any given moment, it creates an energetic field around me. And this energetic field can reach quite far. It creates a sphere of influence around my life as I walk through my day. And I really like thinking of it that way, and specifically the word influence. I no longer think of my life in terms of what I ever get to control, because control is definitely one of the most toxic illusions we can have. But I do get to have significant influence on my life. And it starts with what's going on inside. This past week has been kind of a weird week for me. A week where I'm doing some very deep processing on some really old conditioning that I feel ready to shed. And as I hear that voice inside, we have lots of different voices going on, right? At any given time. And it can sometimes just be like, quiet down. But there's a voice inside that I can pretty well, because I've practiced it a lot, I can really well indicate it as my inner child needing something. And what I've noticed this week is sometimes when that inner child wants to just ruminate on things over and over and over, it's time to set a boundary and just say, we're actually not thinking about that right now. Or I don't need to think about that today. We're all good. And then I also like to say, you can trust me, we're good. And that's my wise adult self having a conversation with that little child inside of me, my inner child, my subconscious mind, the part of me that's running most of my day. And the reason I think this is so important is because I can let those thoughts ruminate and go over and over and over, right? I can create an energy of anxiety in my body. And then that energy is moving out of my body and creating an energetic field and impacting my relational field around me. And I can choose to let that happen, right? Or I can learn how to set the boundaries for my inner child and say, we just don't need to think about that right now. It's not repressing it, because it is important to allow things to show up, but they don't need to show up all day. That makes it so we're not present in the moment. So for me, if I'm trying to be present with something, I was trying to read this morning, and then I wanted to be present with my son during homeschool, I just kept letting my mind know, we'll get back to that later. We don't need to think about that right now. You can trust me. And my energetic field began to feel safe, right? If someone has a boundary that they need, they can start to feel safe. And so this feeling of safety and confidence began to arise in me. And it created an energetic field around me, and that influenced my entire morning. We don't get to control our lives, but we do have a massive amount of influence. Thanks for staying with me for these thoughts today. Lots of love to you. And may all beings remember who we truly are. Namaste.